Can you say your name for me and spell it?
Yes, my name is Michael Rahan, R-A-H-N, and I am Chair of the Manatee County Board of County Commissioners and District 4 Commissioner.
Briefly explain the meeting, the very brief meeting we just saw today.
The very brief meeting today, as you all are here for, was to extend the emergency order out for another week. We can only extend these orders out at a week at a time, and so next Thursday at land use, they'll most likely be extending it again to continue the state of emergency in Manatee County so we can still have all the things we need from FEMA and other organizations that come in and help our residents that experience during the flooding and during the storm.
We have seen a lot of catastrophe that's come from this flood, a lot of residents that are very upset. One lady, said, my entire life is out on the curb right now. At the last meeting you guys discussed, looking into exactly everything that unfolded, where are we now with basically going over and looking at how you guys handled it?
Well, right now we're still in recovery mode. So a lot of our teams are still out on the streets helping citizens and going through damage assessment and things like that. There will be an independent investigation. The board is requiring that, has requested that, and it will be done. So to get back to where were failures and what were opportunities that we did a good job in. But there will be an independent investigation.
All right, so the first clip that you just seen is a whole interview that has been done between Jada and Mike over here in Manatee County. This is the meeting that happened, I believe it was on Tuesday. It was last week. It was like an emergency meeting. The meeting was like 3 minutes anyway, but essentially what he said here in the first part is that they're still in recovery mode and that they're gonna have an independent investigation, and they're acknowledging that there is some failures.
So a lot of the people that I have talked to in this community, they're saying that just starting first things first with the dam, they didn't get the proper communication about it. On y'all's side, how did communication come out?
Well, basically, we do communication through Verse 911. We send out through all of our media to get as much information out as we can to the public as fast as we can. So if there's any lapse in communications, those will be corrected immediately to where we can figure out how to best serve the citizens and get all the information out. Were there some lapses in communications? There was. But we're going to be putting out the information.
So here in the second question, they somewhat acknowledge that there was a lapse in communication, but I don't feel like he acknowledges the whole problem. We live off of 675, as a lot of people know, and we didn't get the notifications until 2 o'clock, and that was on my phone, and then my wife didn't get a notification at all. So I feel like he is somewhat acknowledging it, but he's definitely not taking responsibility for it.
48-hour window before we saw the worst of Debbie. What did the communication look like with deciding what to do with the dam?
Well, with the dam, we did do a release prior to the storm coming. But remember that the National Weather Service told us we're going to get 8 to 10 inches of rain. And we got 21 inches of rain in Manatee County. So that was just, historic rainfall that we've never seen before, 200-year event that we've had here during that storm. So at the dam, we did a release based on what we were told, and then when the storm came and the water rose significantly in a very quick time in the lake, which put pressure on the dam. All
right, so this is the part of the interview that I have a problem with. This is the part of the interview where I think Mike is doing a CYA move and he's covering his ass. So the thing is he says that the water level rose very significantly in a very fast amount of time. According to the paperwork that I have, the water level previous was 36 feet. Okay, well, at 8 a.m. on Monday morning, according to you guys' paperwork, it was at 38 feet. It did not raise a significant amount in an hour. They were saying a foot an hour. Okay, so from 8 a.m., when you got your situation report in the EOC, it said it was at 38 feet, and then you released water at 9 o'clock, basically 9:30. I don't know about that. Your numbers ain't adding up to me. And then, he talks about that 48-hour window. Okay, well, they acknowledged in situation report number 2 that essentially that the emergency spillway was a very well-known possibility. Now, when they talk to most people, they referred to that as spillway number 2. That is not a regular spillway. That the dam did not do what it was supposed to do, and they are the ones that are prematurely responsible for flooding out all of us in our homes. Because there was an excavator down there, they dug those plugs out. Those plugs are designed to dislodge at 44 to 45 feet. They are not designed to dislodge at 41 to 42 feet. That is when they dug them out. That's what they said the water level was, and I don't believe it. I do not see any evidence so far in order to justify digging those plugs out. 2 of the plugs, which I'm going to put the picture in here as well so you guys can see it, are completely gone. They have been dug out, and the 3rd one is partially gone. The clock is already started on these plugs. They're not acknowledging that. They're not acknowledging that we are still in danger because these plugs have not been put back. And what happens when the dam rises again to 41, 42 feet? Okay, what do you guys think is going to happen? It's going to run right out where those plugs are supposed to be because there's nothing stopping them. That's why, like today, for example, you guys are starting to get the picture. These people down in Sarasota, Venice, all these areas are starting to flood, and they're releasing more water because there's more pressure on the dam. I just don't find any of his statements credible. I think it's all a bunch of CYA.
I want to ask you, so I'm going to look at my phone right now at some of those questions that they have. So the outflow, was it reduced 48 hours before the storm?
That's something I have to refer you to the dam folks, the utilities department on. I don't get briefed on we as commissioners don't get briefed on every single thing that happens within the county. But utilities could probably give you a better idea of what capacity the dam had, what flowed out before, what was flowing out at that time, and when all those timelines were with regards to how the dam
Right
was
here, he
released.
does some backpedaling, and he was asked the question, was the outflow reduced? The answer is yes. The outflow was reduced. You can see that in the graph data that the outflow was reduced. I've seen that in their reports that the outflow was reduced. There's nothing to tell me that they were doing any more release. Very minimal. Up in that 48-hour window before Debbie came.
Now, so
here.
many people are saying, okay, doesn't seem like things went well for Debbie. What about if there's another storm that hits this weekend, next weekend, anytime coming up? Where are we? Where are we?
Well, I think you learn from every storm. I mean, we learned from Ian, which was a giant windstorm, not a lot of rain. I think we learned from this storm what needs to happen. You know, we still prepare for every storm like it is a major storm in Manatee County, but we do rely on other agencies to tell us what we can expect, like the National Weather Service and those type of things, to how we can prepare. So I think what we learn now is to prepare for the storm as it is a Cat 5, every storm is, and treat it as such. I know that our public service team, our public safety team leaned into this, several days before and started getting everybody prepared for that. That's why we went to our emergency order on Friday before the storm even got here, so we could be prepared to whatever was going to happen during Hurricane Debbie.
A lot of people feel like Friday wasn't quite soon enough. The messaging didn't come out with from what they're saying.
I can understand that, but I mean, realize I can't predict what the weather's going to do. I'm not a weather predictor, and none of us are here. So we do have to rely on the information that we're getting. I mean, we thought this was just going to be an 8 to 10 inch rainstorm. We were prepared for that, and that's what we based everything off of. We had no idea that the rain was going to, in 48 hours, we're going to have 21 inches of rain. That's just unprecedented. So I think that our teams did do a good job in preparing for the storm based on all the information they had at that time. Going out a week before that for this type of storm, based on the information they had, wasn't necessary. You know, I think we were better prepared than other counties, and we called it as fast as we possibly could when we saw the storm coming.
Here again is more backpedaling. He doesn't necessarily answer the question. The answer to the question that she's asking is, you know, okay, you guys have essentially already pulled these plugs. The dam is already breached in one spot. What's going to happen if we have a storm next week? The answer is, and this is their figures, I'm going to use their figures that they put out to the media. Okay, with all 3 gates open, technically, they said there was 9,000 cubic coming out of there. And then with these 3 plugs pretty much gone, according to their figures, is 13,800 cubic. Okay, whatever the situation was. So with that being said, if another storm comes through and the water level rises to 41, 42 feet, there's going to be 13,800 cubic coming out of the dam. And it's going to be unrestrained where the plugs are, because there's no plugs. Sorry to cut in here again on the same question, but, you know, first it was 8 to 10, then it was 18, now it's 21. Why does the number keep going up? I understand after a storm, you can have a little more time, you can calculate everything, you know, a little more, but from 18 to 21 inches, that's quite a drastic jump. You know, I mean, 18 was even pretty unfathomable as far as what we've seen, you know, kind of on average in our area, which is the 675 Rutland Road area. We've seen somewhere around 10 to, I'd say 10 to 14, you know, on a conservative side. Maybe record, you know, maybe 16 inches, but definitely was not the rain. Definitely was not the rain. Just like all these people were talking in that BOCC meeting that we were at last Tuesday, it was not the rain that was at fault. It was the dam releasing that water, and that water did not come from the canals. That water came from the streets. So, you know, that's pretty telling that the flooding problem that we're complaining about is not just related to the rain. Like, the rain obviously provided the water, but the water didn't come from just flowing out and into our national, you know, watershed into the dam. That was not the issue. Here he kind of goes on the offensive a little bit. You know, he's definitely been really defensive during this interview, and when she provokes that question, that was actually one of my questions, and I proposed it a little bit differently. You know, she kind of spiced it up a little bit, but this is a pretty key example of what these commissioners are doing right now, and what they're saying is not exactly corresponding to what was actually said. I think we understand that the commissioners are not, you know, they're not weather forecasters. They don't know what the weather's going to do, this and that. That's understandable. But at the same time, you guys really didn't give us a notice that, you know, we were going to possibly be flooded out of our homes, much less a notice that the dam was going to be released at 9 o'clock. I didn't know anything about it. Like I said, I didn't get an alert until 2 o'clock. Many other people didn't get an alert at all. So, you know, he's kind of going on the offensive, you know, kind of, in more layman's terms, kind of being a dick without being a dick, you know, but I don't think he really is answering the questions. There's a lot of defensiveness. There's a lot of CYA, which is cover your ass. There's a lot of things that he's not really saying, but he's saying. You know what I'm saying?
As of right now, 3 gates that were in, or 1 gate that was inoperable, that I'm hearing on the dam. Do you have any information on the 1 gate that didn't?
No, ma'am, I'm still waiting for the folks at the dam and utilities to get back to us on if that was a failure or if it just didn't need to open. We had 2 gates that were open, and if they thought the folks at the dam know better than I do how to operate a dam, felt that it was only 2 gates were required, and we trust them to do the right thing.
All right, so here she asks about that gate that was obviously closed. If you look up Cletus McFarland, this video that he put out, it's obviously under his actual name, not his YouTube name, but Mitchell Garrett is the name on Facebook. But if you look at his chopper video, you will see that the number 1 and the number 3 gate, moving from left to right, was open. Water was flowing out. They were full open, but that middle gate was shut. Now, this is verified, but essentially what I was told was that there was a company that is out working on the gates. They got to 1 and 3. They at least got to 2 of them before the storm, but they didn't get to the other one, the third one. So I don't know if it was just that one was busted before and it had limited movement or what, but again, I think this is just more bureaucratic bullshit. Sorry.
To the people who are, and I would say rightfully so, they're very upset right now. Their entire lives are upended because of what happened.
I mean, we definitely feel for them. I mean, they were here Tuesday at our BOCC meeting. I think they could feel the sense of the board was just brokenhearted that this happened to them. I think
he says here in this section of the video that they think they were here at the Tuesday meeting, and we think that they felt the sense of the board and this and that. How does the public know what you guys are thinking or what you guys are saying? Because you didn't speak, Mr. Mike. One of your other commissioners did, but you didn't say anything. So how do we know what you guys are thinking? We're not telepathic mind readers here. Why don't you guys make a statement and say, hey, we understand where you're coming from. We understand that you're frustrated. We feel for you, and just make a general statement. You didn't really say that anything. I mean, you guys did kind of say that you were, understanding of the situation, but not really anything else.
I think they're seeing all the resources that we can get out there to them as fast as possible to help them. We have FEMA on the ground here now that's out there helping people. We have a center opened up at the library, the Lakewood Ranch Library, that they can get all the information they need. So we got boots on the ground out there trying to help these folks the best we can.
Looking ahead, how do you reassure that this doesn't happen again?
Well, I don't think you can reassure it doesn't happen again. I mean, we could have another storm that dumps 21 inches, and we'll do the best when these storms come. But we can tell the residents that we will be better prepared. We'll get communications out there better. I've already said that. We're bringing the media out to the dam, do a dam 101 for the media so they understand how the dam works. Citizens are welcome to attend that, to understand what happens.
I've been talking to have just been saying that this wasn't a natural disaster. I mean, obviously there was sensitive to the rain, but most of the damage was caused by decisions made by people. What would be your response to that?
I disagree with that. The dam release was released as it's supposed to. The dam water, for what they experienced in the Braden River, that was just due to the 21 inches of rain. The dam is, the folks that live in Summerfield Woods, Summerfield, Bluffs, and River Club live north of the dam. So that was just a natural occurrence. The dam was a dam release that unfortunately affected the folks on Jim Davis Road in that area down there, basically in the Spillway.
Gotcha. So for the people on Summerfield Woods and Bluffs, the dam had huge...
For as far as I've been told, the dam had nothing to do with the flooding that they experienced. It was just the amount of water that came in.
In this part of the video, he essentially says that everybody north of the dam, so i.e. us on 675, that was just natural flooding. That wasn't related to the dam, this and that. Well, I've got probably a few hundred people that disagree with you there, Mr. Commissioner, because I can tell you for a fact, these people know the way that this water flows. They've been dealing with this water for over 20 years in a lot of cases, some cases more. They've been here longer, and this water has nowhere to go when you are releasing this much water. We can calculate 2.4 billion or 2.7 billion gallons at high tide with a 30 mile an hour inland wind and a 3 foot of storm surge. Where do y'all expect that water to go? That water's all getting drove inland. So when you're releasing that much water out into the river, and all of these little ducks and things are fed into the river, they feed into the river to get rid of the water, where do you expect that water to go? I don't quite understand how you're saying that this was, just natural rainfall flooding us out when it wasn't.
Last question. Would you change anything about the decision to do the strategic release from the dam now?
I mean, I'm probably not the one. I didn't call. We don't call for the strategic release. We'll let that our people that are experts in that. I would like to be involved in more of that, and when we get to do it, to make the Board of County Commissioners more aware that the dam is going to be released. It's going to be released at this point, and that way we could better prepare ourselves and the citizens for that to happen. So that's one thing I would change. That when they're going to do a dam release, we want to know about it, especially during an event like this.
Gotcha. And then just following up on the investigation too, what will that look like? Do you have any indication of how that investigation?
No, we just instructed Charlie Bishop and the DCAs to get with their directors and prepare for, we're going to have an independent investigation done. So they need to start putting all the stuff together, timelines, information, how the rivers reacted, how the creeks reacted, all that type of stuff. So when we do our investigation, we can figure out what went wrong or what we did right and what we did wrong.
Any timeline on that? Just
not yet, because we're still out in the streets.
Yeah, that's all I got.
I came across a document that said it's dated June 2024, and it said without critical repair, during hurricane season, there could be an uncontrollable release of water from the dam. With that in mind, are you aware of that? It was in the, blanking on the name of it right now, I can give it to you a little bit later. But with that in mind, are there going to be conversations surrounding, okay, what do we do about this? How do we look at, the potential repairs? Is that something that's part of the independent investigation? Something you guys start to talk about, outside of that investigation?
Well, I think that the dam has a significant life left to it. We constantly monitor it. We constantly repair anything that needs to be done to it. Remember, the dam is not a stormwater facility, management facility. It's a water retention facility for Lake Manatee, our drinking water. So we continually out there making sure that the dam is in safe operating order. We make sure that during storms like this, which we can only anticipate about 10 inches of rain, that the dam, the water within the Lake Manatee is at a safe manageable level for the dam, and it doesn't put any more pressure onto the dam. I was unaware of that document, but if you want to send it to me, I'd like to review it.
I have it here if you want to see it.
Okay, yeah. You can send it to me. So we're always going to be looking at the dam. We have a great team out there that monitors it constantly. I'm wanting to put cameras on the dam so we can continue to monitor it, not just from a rain gauge wise, but we can physically monitor that by and I want to have a warning system that if the dam is to be released for all the citizens that live in that area, they would hear it like a tornado warning or whatever, that the dam is going to be released, so they also can know that the water is going to rise. I mean, this wasn't like a tsunami that came; it was more of a rising event that happened over several hours that affected those people in that spillway and on Jim Davis Road.
I think that I'm not alone when I say I've learned more about dams in the last week.
So right here are pretty pivotal questions asked, and you would think that as the citizens of this county, that have elected you guys into your position, we understand you're more of a legislative position, but you guys are the ones that are in the public eye. You guys are the ones that are taking your public comments. You guys are the ones that are accountable to us as constituents. That may not be the right word, but that's the word I'm gonna go with. You guys are out there in the public eye. You would think that you would be somewhat knowledgeable on the shortcomings of the dam. Because I can tell you from experience, go on Google Maps, look up Little Manatee, Lake Manatee Dam. You will see a bunch of white patches all over the top of the dam from the satellite view. The dam has been very fragile for years. It's been broken for years. And even back, I think it was in 2014, you can find in articles, 2013, 2014, when they added that little wall to the concrete spillway. They even said we had to very, very carefully think about how we were going to construct this so that we did not compromise the structural integrity of the dam. I.e., this dam is really fragile, and just doing this basic upgrade, this basic repair, can collapse this dam.